Hello, welcome to episode 277 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 22nd of August. So welcome everybody, I hope you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last couple of weeks. Now, I have a section on knitting and a section on crochet, and all of these things I've picked out all of my scrappy projects. To be honest, most of my projects at the moment are scrappy. I'm really enjoying putting bits of yarn together to make something out of bits left over from other projects, which is brilliant. I've calculated how much I've used so far for each of those projects, and perhaps I'll add them up and work out what that total is at the end of talking about all these bits and bobs. I have a gadget for this week. I have some confessions, oh dear. I've got a couple of questions from the Ask Me Anything thread on the Ravelry group. I've got some information on what's occurring, a little bit on my shop update this week, and a little appearance from Jensen at the end of the podcast. And at the end of the podcast, I'll be talking about what I've got on as well, and a little bit of information about what I want to do next after I've learned from what I've learned from making this one. Anyway, so let's get on with the knitting, shall we? So first of all, I have a project that actually Adam's mum Liz has been working on, but she's passed it on to me now to do the next bit. So I thought I'd show you what it looks like so far. But look at that! It's another scrappy project. So this is the Pint size fade, and it is by Andrea Mowry. And this so far hasn't got a neckline, and I need to bind off properly on the cuffs because Liz was a bit unsure about which stretchy bind off she wanted to use, so she's just left that bit to me, which I absolutely don't mind. She's done most of the legwork for this one. Basically, we've faded lots of different blues out of my stash. Liz has knitted the 4-year-old size because I thought there's no point in knitting something that's on the small side for Jensen, so we'll go for a 4-year-old size. He is now nearly 3, so we're already getting on for 4 really. Time is just flying by. So this is for a 4-year-old, and I've got to pick up the stitches for around the neck and just cast off on the actual sleeves. So what Liz did is she's faded several different colours. We've got this lighter colour here. This one here is one of my colourways, and then it fades to a couple of darker minis. I feel like that one of these might be Giddy Yarns, but I can't remember which one it was out of one of the sets that I've bought from her. And then some little minis that I've swapped with some other people. So they're all sorts of yarn all mixed together. I'm really pleased with how this has come out so far, and I'm very tempted to do the Andrea Mowry adult version of this, the Find Your Fade jumper, to use up little scraps. It does give you full instructions of how to sort of fade them in, but I did calculate, because I had smaller minis than it said, where to sort of do the blending for Liz. But I think that's come out really nicely. I've used 120 grams so far for this jumper out of all the extra little minis, so I'm really pleased about that. We've obviously got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colourways that I had in my stash, so it's gotten rid of most of those. I've got a few bits and bobs left, but obviously I need to do the neckline. So 120 grams of the stash used up. So the next knitting thing I've got to show you is my Popstars Blanket. Now, I haven't got loads of these blocks made up because they all are ready to actually assemble. I've got them all knitted up in separate blocks. So the blocks themselves look like these two. I've got one that's blocked, which is this one, with a star. And there's going to be, I think I've got to make 12 of these all together. So I've got one that's been made and blocked. And now this is the January yarn clubs for this year, so if you don't want to see this, shut your eyes. So this is the January yarn club. This hasn't been blocked, and you can see that it's a bit sort of out of shape, so you do need to block these, but you can see the colourways. This was inspired by Britney Spears. I won't go through all the songs, but each of the colours was inspired by a different Britney Spears song. So this was the January Popstars set, and I'm using some undyed yarn to go with mine. I'm using a DK weight yarn, but the pattern is actually written for fingering weight and DK, but I figured that DK is a little bit quicker to knit up, so I can get a nice thick cozy blanket by the end of it. So you have several of these to put together, 12 of these all together, so it's ideal to use sort of yarn clubs and things with, but you can use your scraps and all sorts. So I've got 2 completely made up. So I'm going to quickly show you the yarn clubs from February, March, April and May. So if you don't want to see those, skip on to the next crochet section. But I thought I'd give you a quick look of how many I've sort of got together to actually assemble. We've got the Whitney Houston set, which I need to put together. We've got the Aha set of colours to put together. I obviously got to sew in all these ends as well. The Cyndi Lauper set to put together, and the Aha set to put together. So you can see that I've got all the diamonds ready. I just need to sew them all together. I have got loads of undyed ones knitted up as well. There's rather a ridiculous amount actually. There's just one handful. I've got several. So I need to put all those together to make a gorgeous big Popstars blanket. So the Popstars blanket is my own pattern, and you can make these star-shaped blocks, or you can make like a 3D box design as well with the diamond shapes. But I'm hoping to get that finished by the end of the year with all the yarn clubs, so that I can show you a big finished Popstars blanket with all the yarn clubs for this year. And I feel like that'll be a sort of overview of the colours I've put together and designed, and it'll be a sort of an achievement for me, if you know what I mean. But anyway, so that is the Popstars blanket that I'm working on. So those 2 are the knitting things that I've got to show you, but I've got a few crochet things that are sort of scrappy. So I'm on to the crochet section now. Now I have got a lot of blocks for my Ariana cardigan. I am so excited. Ta-da! I have got 38 full squares like this one. I've got 38 of those, which are those. You can see actually the top section I've gone back and gone the final round, because I've decided actually it'd be better if I just did all and then went in big long lines joining them together, rather than sort of join as you go method that sort of the Battenberg blanket instructions tell you to do. So I'm going back to do those. I have done 2 quarter triangles, which I just need to do the last round of, so 2 of those, and I have 14 half ones done. Quite a few of these I have not sewn the ends in, so I do have to go back and do that, but I have started doing so. You can see here these ones are lovely and neat. So those I need to do the last round on as well, but I feel like I've got the bulk of the crochet done on this. So the Ariana cardigan is supposed to be a Aran weight cardigan, and I have actually done it in fingering weight yarn scraps. So far I've used 402 grams of my scraps. How good is that? I'm so pleased. So I'm so chuffed that I've used so much, and obviously I'm keeping on carrying on. I need to do the last round on the rest of these, and then I need to assemble. I'm going to pop these on our living room floor in the orientation of what the garment looks like. I did actually lay them out last week on the video where I showed my sort of yarn dyeing behind the scenes. I did quickly put them on the floor at the end of the day, but I've done a bit more now, so hopefully I'll be able to do in the front so you can see sort of what it's going to look like. And then hopefully next time you see this, I'm hoping it will be finished, because I'm planning not to video next week, have a week off, and I should be able to video the week after. And I am fingers crossed been having a finished garment. The Ariana cardigan is one of my make 9, and I need to tick that off the list, and then I can get on with my other garment knitting, because I've got garment knitting mad, or garment making, just not just knitting, crochet as well. So I want to get a few more of those ticked off before the end of the year. The Ariana cardigan has actually got cuffs, a bottom band and the front band around the neck, all in a knitting, so I need to do that bit as well. I'm planning on finishing off the cardigan with this yarn. So this is the yarn that I'm going around the blocks in, and then I've got a whole cake of it. So these 2 are both my own hand dyed yarn, but they're different dilutions of the same colour. So I don't think there's a lot of difference in it though. I don't think you'll be able to tell too much. I'm going around all the squares and the triangles in this colour, and then I'll use this colour to do all the cuffs and the button band, etc. So I have 100 grams of this skein, and then I did have 80 before I started doing all the outsides. I think I've used 10 grams so far doing the outside around, so I think I'll probably still have a bit of both of these left, but I think that should be plenty to do the cuffs and button bands and things. So I'm really excited to get that finished, plus it uses up all yarn out of my own stash. I do say this is scraps even though it's 100 grams because I caked it up for something and then didn't end up using it, so it's still sort of caked up stash to use up, and I like to sort of use up stuff and not have yarn just wasted or just put to one side. I do like to see it sort of used, and so I'm very, very excited to start assembling my Ariana cardigan. So that is knitted in the 4-ply scraps. I'm doing 9 rounds per square, and I'm using a 3mm hook, but I do have a full sort of plan of the modifications I've done on my Ravelry page, which I'll leave a link to in the description bar down below. So there we are, you can get an idea of what the front's going to look like. So I did show what the back looked like on last week's video. So now I've done the sort of half triangles, you can get a better idea of what the actual front will look like. So I better get on with joining them together next. And you can see that the schematic is on this piece of paper here, and I'm following the front version at the top. You can see that I have modified it slightly, that I've omitted the sort of batwing style. In the original pattern they've got these batwings, and it does give you a little bit more room in the sort of arm, but I've calculated that this is going to be deep enough for me, because I always find that, because I'm quite a curvy girl, that my arms are always smaller than the sleeve size for my body, so I know that this will be fine. But if you do have an issue with sleeves being tight, you might have an issue with the batwing version, so but I'm going to give this a go and I'll let you know how it goes. So that is my Ariana cardigan. I have not done a lot of my Battenberg blanket in ages, but I just thought I'd show you for another scrappy sort of blanket that I still sort of have this on the go. I'm using undyed yarn in between these to sort of separate it, and I did start this with the intention of making it for Jensen, so it is all nice bright colours mixed in with the sort of lighter tones there. And I've used 250 grams of yarn on this so far, but it doesn't really count because I am using undyed yarn, so I'd say 125 grams of leftover scraps there, because obviously you've got the undyed there I'm mixing in. So the Battenberg blanket is done in fingering weight yarn. You could do it in any yarn weight really, but it's these lovely cute little squares, and I just think that's a lovely pattern. I've made a cushion with this pattern previously, I'll quickly show you that one, and I just love the way this looks, but I just fancied making a blanket version. It is such a lovely way of using up tiny little bits of yarn. I think you need a couple of grams to do one of these squares, or less than that really. So there we go, that's my Battenberg, which I really need to do lots and lots of work on to get it to like a reasonable state so that we can actually use it really. I can always add to it later. When Jensen gets a bit bigger, he might want a slightly bigger blanket. So my next project is my Daisy Puff blanket by Sandra Paul. Oh, of course the Battenberg blanket's by Sandra Paul as well, I forgot to say. I've only done, I think I did 1 or 2 extra on this. Actually, I didn't even join them onto this bit since I last showed it to you. So this is basically what I showed you last time, but I did do another hexagon, so that's a bit pitiful, isn't it? 1 hexagon, Daisy Puff hexagon since the last time I showed it to you, but I wanted to show you and tell you about how much scrap yarn I've used on this. So this pattern is supposed to be DK weight, but I'm using both 4-ply and DK weight scraps, and I have actually put the odd bit of Aran weight yarn in this just to use it up, because it's in the colour I wanted for a particular area, but with the 4-ply yarn I'm holding it double. Having a tiny bit of Aran weight yarn, say if it's just in one section, it doesn't really make much difference in the gauge, but obviously if I did the whole hexagon with it, it might make a lot of difference. I'm trying to keep the centre puff bits all in the 4-ply because I like the multi-strand look. I think it looks a little bit more puffy. But there we go. I have used 340 grams on this blanket so far, and I do have quite a lot of yarn in here, although to be quite honest I keep adding to it because this yarn on the top is from projects that I've recently finished, or I've dug out more scraps out of my stash. So this did actually go down quite a bit. Obviously 340 grams is quite a bit, but it's filled up again. But I am planning on making this blanket quite large, so it's going to be good that I've got more scraps that are in the right colour scheme. So I'm trying to do the colour placement so that I've got a nice spread of different colours. I'm going for sort of turquoises, blues, greens and greys, because it will go lovely with our lounge. I thought I'd do something to go with the colour schemes of our lounge. Really love this slightly heavier weight of yarn, nice and cosy. It's going to be lovely in the winter. So that's another 340 grams. Let's work out how many scraps I've used so far. So I've done a little bit of maths, and the total of scrap yarn that I've used so far in these scrappy projects, which doesn't include the Popstars blanket because I'm obviously using those from my Popstars mini sets, is 987 grams of scrap yarn. So isn't that brilliant? I feel like a little bit of all these little scraps of yarn that might have gone to waste are actually going into something really gorgeous. I'm so chuffed with that. So I'm feeling a little bit less guilty about buying more yarn and things. I do have some confessions later on in the podcast. So right, the next section I've got is my gadget section, and now I've recently purchased some of these. Now I haven't used it for very long, I've just used it for a couple of evenings, but this is a clover and it's called on the packet the flexible rubber thimble. I saw something like this on somebody's on Instagram and I couldn't get hold of the original item, so I found some similar ones from Clover because I like Clover. They're a sort of trusted company. Plus these are pink, they go in with my nice little pink sewing case. And I thought, oh, I'm going to try these to see if I get on with them, because I do quite a lot of hand English paper piecing, which I have done a little bit of this week, but I haven't done enough really to show you, so I won't show you until I've done a little bit more. But I've been having a go at using this thimble, but instead of using it as a proper thimble, I'm using it to grip the needle, because sometimes I find it's a little bit slippy. So at the moment I'm finding quite an improvement on using one of these. They do come in little packs of 2, and I did try using one on my thumb and one on my finger, but I find it's fine just to use the one on my finger. It is a little bit sweaty, but I think I'd get sweaty hands anyway, which means I wouldn't be able to grip the needle. So far I'm getting on quite well with it. So I will keep you updated and tell you whether I actually would recommend this product in a few more weeks when I've had a bit more time to work with it. But I just thought I'd mention it because I haven't had a gadget on the podcast for ages, so I thought I'd show you I am still looking into gadgets. I don't want to keep bombarding you with the same gadgets over and over again, so I'm trying to find new and interesting ones to show you. So I'm on to my confession section. Right, I actually was very restrained with myself. So I popped to Venetia's, which is a gorgeous yarn shop in Fakenham. If you ever visit Fakenham, do pop into Venetia's because she's got the most beautiful shop, and Venetia and Mandy in there are just so lovely. Well worth a visit. Lots of inspiration, lots of samples around, and one of the samples I saw on the hanging up, I was like, I need to make that. So it's called the Spectra Shawl by Stephen West. I saw hanging up, and in the sample I think I did a short on it. You'll be able to see actually the inside of the shop, and the Spectra shawl I did show in that video if you go back and look at my little short videos. But I will pop a picture up here what the Spectra shawl looks like. It's got a sort of striped appearance with a variegated yarn and a solid. So I saw this at Venetia's and I thought, oh, it looks to me really quite autumnal with a mixture of ochre and pink and burgundy in there and a little bit of green as well. So I'm going to pick one of the colours that goes with these colours to be as the solid, and I'll use this as my variegated. And this is the Zauberball, and it is the Zauberball Crazy, and it is 100 grams of, this is the fingering weight version I believe, and it just it just says it's colourway 1153. I was very restrained though in Venetia. She had an awful lot of other beautiful projects, but I've got quite a lot on the needles at the moment, so I just thought I'd treat myself to one thing, and then next time, actually we're going to do one of the Barbara's Day Outs there, so I'll have to purchase something else next time, give myself a little treat. So I'm hoping that maybe I'll cast this on soon. I've been a bit rubbish on actually running make-alongs properly on Ravelry on Instagram. I have been running the craft 20 a day, but I've not been really advertising it, and I've not been interacting with the group, so I must get back to it this weekend. And maybe I should do a little shawl make-along to go along with me making another Stephen West shawl. Hopefully get that on the needles soon. Although I do need to get on with my Tunisian crochet shawl that I started a couple of weeks ago. It's just that I haven't had the headspace for something sort of new. I just needed to sort of relax and do some little scrappy projects that are nice and easy that I've been working on before, just to relax a bit. Do you ever get like that? Nice to have a nice simple project just to really relax and not have to think about anything too much. So that is my confessions. I think I've been quite good. The next section is the Ask Me Anything section. I've got two questions. One was from Jennifer, and Jennifer was asking me about actually dyeing up a custom colourway for her. I'm afraid, Jennifer, I don't do custom colourways at the moment, because I'm just too busy with the colourways that I've sort of designed in the shop, and it takes an awful long time to develop a colourway to get it correct before I can then sell it on to you. So it's just too much work to dye up colours for a particular person. The next question is from, I don't know what the person's name is, but their Ravelry name was Miss Rugby Orst or something like that. But they were asking about other multi-crafting YouTube channels that post regularly. Now, I find this quite difficult, because having things, what exactly you mean by multi-crafting depends on what I'd actually say. I've just picked out a few people that I follow on YouTube myself, which they have things like cross stitch, sewing and knitting sort of thing. So Simply in Stitches, she does cross stitch, sewing and knitting. I know Little Workroom Crafts does quite a variety of sewing, crochet and knitting normally. We've got Elizabeth Can Stitch, Toby Knits, Penelope's Chin Wag and Stitch by Mrs D are the ones that I sort of follow that I could think of that sort of post regularly, but I'm sure that there are other ones that I've missed. If anybody has any suggestions, please pop them in the comments, and then we'll all have new ideas to watch some new YouTube videos. So thank you so much for those questions. The next section is what's occurring. So I just wanted to remind you about the two Barbara's Day Outs that we've got booked. We've got the Venetia's Barbara's Day Out, which is in her lovely yarn shop, on Saturday the 26th of October 2 till 4. I might bring some stuff to sell at her shop as well, so I shall see. Either I'll bring a few things or a lot, I don't know yet. I'll have to speak to Venetia about it. But she did say that I could bring some things if people wanted to buy them. And then we've got another Barbara's Day Out at Dunstan Hall. That's a Sunday, November the 17th, 2 till 4 in the Terrace Bar. Now, I've decided to keep the two venues because they're quite a distance from each other. I thought, well, if people can't get to one, then I'll keep the other one going as well, and we'll see if we can alternate. We shall see. See how it goes, see how many people turn up. But it's always lovely to meet people and chat to people about all their crafty goodness that they've been doing. The other thing I wanted to mention on the What's Occurring section is that the person who won the 25,000 subscriber giveaway that I mentioned on last time I podcasted has not contacted me. So if your name is Emma Butcher and you left a comment on the 25,000 subscriber giveaway video that I did about, I don't know, it must have been a month ago now. If your name is Emma Butcher, please contact me. Email me on ellie@crafthhousemagic.co.uk and give me your full name and postal address so I can get that prize sent out to you. If you don't contact me by the next actual podcast episode, I will draw the prize again. Right, now I've got my shop update. I'm very excited. I've got a few things to show you. So I've got a couple of new bag fabrics and fabrics going in the shop this Friday at 7 PM GMT. We've got some beautiful, beautiful Liberty fabrics. I love this. It is so pretty. So we've got beautiful pink flowers with the leafy background, and then I've got a Liberty contrast at the bottom. These are in drawstring, and we've got the usual 2 pockets inside in the medium size ones. I've got a drawstring and a zip to show you in the medium size, but I do a larger size and also a smaller size as well if you wanted them. And I've also put a separate listing as an add-on for a handle that could go on the medium and large ones. It might be a little bit squashed up to go on the smaller size ones, but definitely the medium and large ones would look fabulous. In the listing I show a little video of what it looks like on the large bag on the drawstring, but you can add that on to any purchase of bag, and I'll make the bag specifically with the handle on for you. So that is the first print I've got to show you, and then I've also got this gorgeous like scenery print, Liberty print as well. Really beautiful. I had a print very similar to this, but which was a Macawa quite some time ago. And then inside I've done it white, and I've got the 2 pockets for the medium size, and in the large size bags there's 3 pockets inside, so you can fit all your bits and bobs in there, and that obviously is your medium sized drawstring and zipped. I'll draw it up for you so you can see what it looks like. And it is a box bottom. These are empty at the moment obviously, but when they're full you can get a decent 2-3 skeins in there to do sort of a smaller jumper project or a shawl project really. Smaller size bags are for sort of sock projects, and then the large project bags, they fit absolutely loads of yarn. You could probably put a couple of these bags inside comfortably. They are absolutely huge. So I do have a bag size comparison on the website as well, so you can see the difference in sizes, but I make all the bags sort of to order, so sometimes they can take a week or 2 depending what I've got planned for that week. So we've got the new bags going in the shop. Like I said, you've got a separate listing to add on a handle if you wanted to, and I am currently working on a longer bag strap as well, so that you can use the bags as sort of tote bags, because I think sometimes it's nice to be able to carry them around a bit round with you. The ones without the handles, they're sort of ideal to have at home, and with the drawstring ones you can carry them with the drawstrings really, but it's sometimes nice to have an extra handle on there. So there we go, that's the project bags in the shop this week. I have the September yarn clubs will be going in the shop as well this Friday at 7 PM GMT, and those will be available until the 8th of September. Now I've got some new themes to obviously share with you. The music from the movies for September is Return to Oz, which is one of my most favourite 80s films. I just love it. And the colour scheme is going to be quite autumnal, based basically on the sort of the Jack Pumpkin character. So you can see the colours I've picked out of the picture, and that's going to be the colourways. It's going to be sort of an autumnal but subtle autumnal theme. The pop star for September is going to be Madonna, so I've picked Madonna out, and the colours that I've got out of her videos are sort of greens and pinks that I thought went really well together. So you can see the inspiration colours in the image here, and those will be obviously available in a range of different yarn bases in 10 and 20 gram minis. Same goes for the music from the movies as well. They are actually available in single skeins, sock sets and shawl sets for the music from the movies, sets for the Return to Oz theme. The colour of the month for September is going to be Ecuador, and that's inspired by the Sash song Ecuador from 1997. I calculated it 27 years ago. Doesn't seem right, does it? So this is Ecuador. It's got speckles of pinks and purples, and the contrast mini is a purple. So you can see that I've knitted it up in a swatch so you can see what it looks like. And those will just be available specifically for until the 8th of September, and this will be a limited edition colourway. So I've also got a new range of opal yarns, and these are the Zauberwald, and they're in a range of colours. This is all fingering weight sock yarn. We've got the Magical Unicorn, Peter's Heroic Dragon Ride, the Boat Trip to the Moon, the Fairy Tale Treasure, the Immortal Legend, the Fabulous Magician, Dragon Baby's First Trip, and the Mysterious Couple. So those will all be available on my website this Friday at 7 PM GMT, including all the bags and everything. So all those things will be up on the website this week. I'm very excited about those new opal yarns. Very tempted to steal one for myself. I might even knit up another pair of my mittens that I designed in some of the new yarns. The mitten pattern, by the way, if you saw it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, I have sent that to test knitters now, so it's well on the way. I'm heading for the end of September to have it published, so check for that. So yarn advent calendars will only be in the shop until the end of August. So we've got the 12 days advent, which is the theme Frostbites, which comes with a little drawstring bag, a few little extras, and also a cowl pattern. We have the Woodland Wonders 24-day advent calendar, which comes with a big tote bag, a few more little bits and bobs extras, but that'll come with a shawl pattern as well. These are knitted patterns. And then we've got the 100 grams weekly advent, so you get 400 gram skeins. That doesn't have any patterns or bags with it, that's just sort of the plain skeins with a few little tiny extras in. So you can open one every week in Advent, and that's the Woodland Wonders theme as well. And then we've got a special project bag, sock set, and a sock pattern, which is a Woodland Wonders theme. So all the Woodland Wonders theme are all sort of colours that will go together, and you can see the colour scheme in the inspiration photos. So those will only be in the shop until the end of August. Then I will be dyeing them up. There might be one or two extras, but you won't be able to sort of choose which base you want. There'll just be a couple of extras at the end that will be available in October. So if you do want to order one on a specific base, please order them before the end of August. So last of all, it's over to you, Jensen. So Jensen is playing with his new sandpit.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Big bit in there.
There's a big bit.
Yeah.
I haven't got anything for Jensen yet again, but hopefully next time I can actually show you that jumper that Adam's mum started knitting, and I'll finish off the neckline so we can try it on next time. But I'm wearing the Bettine dress by Tilly and the Buttons. Yeah, the Bettine dress.
No, one Bettine dress.
One Bettine dress, yeah. You want one as well? A little one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The thing I really like about this dress is the pockets. They've got really good pockets that actually are sewn into the seam up here, so they're really strong, aren't they? The only thing is, I find it's a little bit short, and I'd rather it be like an A-line skirt. So I'm thinking of getting the Lotta dress by Tilly and the Buttons, which is very similar with an A-line shape. Either that, or I'll cut and spread out the pattern pieces for this, so that it is a wider A-line skirt, and make it a bit longer as well. But I have to wear like leggings underneath to make me feel okay in it. But I still don't like that my bum feels really big, because it's quite a sort of thin, slim skirt. I'd rather have a more fluted one, more fabric to cover my bum. Lovely. Are you going to say bye-bye to everybody?
Bye-bye.
What's that?
So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you'd like to see more. You can also ding that notification bell to get updates every time I put a new video up. So see you later. Bye.